I'm going to cry in a minute. This is the third time. Oh, I went over the 15-minute mark and didn't realise. Into 16 and it rejected the first one. The one I made, it was started just now, I thought it was a pause control, but there isn't. If you stop recording, press continue, wherever it goes on to flipping publishing. I'll start again. This is January the 6th, 10 to 4, January the 6th, 10 to 4, 2015. Yeah, I know, I'm flipping start again now. I've lost my thread now. I was born in 1947 on May the 15th. My mother and father, Dad was in the Navy in the Second World War, and Mum was in the ATS. Dad was a sailor. He was a chief petty officer on the ship. I know he got sunk because he'd never talk about the war, and he had a stack of medals. His ship went down, as I said, he was 36 days, I suppose you say nights as well, in a life raft with other sailors. I know he had saltwater boils, because he suffered with saltwater boils, or just boils. I remember that when I was a kid. All his hair fell out because a shell landed near, but his hair grew back really thick. And even when he died when he was 70, he had a thick head of hair, but it was grey. He was a POW in Casablanca, where Humphrey Bogart made that film called Casablanca. Mum was in the ATS. I can't think what it was called, what it stood for now, but it was the women's sort of thing. Like, she was stationed at an airport, or I forget, did he call them airports then? I can't remember, where the pilots went up and flew sorties, like, you know. And she said, you know, when they came back, if any of the boys had been shot down and killed in the battles, in the sorties, no one ever spoke about it, like, you know. She was in the cookhouse. She learnt all these different cooking techniques, different gases and stuff that they use on the gas stoves, and it was her job to serve the meals and that and cook them to the boys that had come back from sorties, like. 2 minutes already. Yeah. As I said, they got married. As I say, I was born in 1947. I mean, it's nearly 68 years now since I was born. So a lot of history. They moved to a place called a rest centre, which was like a halfway house from where they'd come from, like, you know, the war. Between that and getting a house, a council house, which they eventually did in Stockwell, which is on the edge of Vauxhall in South London, called Wilcox Road. And funny enough, 30 years later, when I got married the first time, because I've been divorced and I'm married again now. I've been in Kent now for 12 years. They then got this council flat. We stayed there till I was 7, but neither of them liked the place or the area. I mean, it's worse now. When I lived there 12 years ago, guns, drugs, usual rubbish. We moved then up to a place called Streatham, still in South London, borders on Norwood. You've got Streatham Common here, where I used to play as a kid. It was considered a posh area. You know, my mum said there used to be a magazine called Ladies of Streatham. So we moved there, as I said, virtually grew up there, I suppose. We lived in, I was going to say a block of flats, but it was a block of maisonettes. That's sort of like houses on top of each other, but they've got an upstairs in, like a house. It's 3 floors up. It was called Hawthorne Court, and our names, like my name is Turner. Like my mum and dad's name's Turner, and my sister, who was 4 years younger than me, was Turner. Well, we lived in 15 Hawthorne Court, and strangely enough, in an L shape, because it's all named after trees in this estate, there was Hazel Court, and unbelievably, in 15 Hazel Court, there was a family called Turner. Not, no relation, And they had Gary, who I went to school with, her sister, who I really had a crush on Ann Turner. Oh boy, I was in love with her for years. She got mad and he broke me bloody heart. She never even knew about it. Joyce Turner and Ted Turner. My mum's name was Minnie, as in Minnie Mouse, and Dad's name was John. And they all became great friends years later. They used to go out socialise, and I think they used to go out dancing as well. In different places. Look at me on the time this time, 5 minutes. That went on till I was in my teens. I left school. I'd been in 5 different schools. I left the last school. I'd been picked on because I was very, very fat in them days. And there was me and my mate Terry Lexford were the only 2 fat kids there. Now, it'd be great, wouldn't it, now? Because it'd be like, there'd be only about 3 kids, and all the others would be fat now. Because they're so obese these days, it's absolutely unbelievable. That's gone, it's an estate now, it's called Tulse Hill School. One school I went to was called Sunny Hill School, which was quite nice. That was there till I was 11, but I failed 11 plus, being an idiot, that I still am. And I went to there, it'd only been up about a couple of years, Tulse Hill School. It was, these schools, these state of the art, as I say, it's gone now, it went years ago, so couldn't have been that flipping good. But I was picked on, but about the last 6 months there, I started to become a bully. I don't know, something happened and I just went berserk. And as I say, when I was about 20, I even took up amateur boxing for a while. So I'd got all that bullying out of my system, Strange, isn't it? You sort of changed overnight. Anyway, I left school. I joined or went to work for a company called Cirque Radiators. What they did was repair radiators. I don't think they repair radiators anymore. They just throw them away, don't they? There was a bumper bar set. It was only a small place, a small branch of a big fat company called Park Royal. At Park Royal, I think it was called, I don't know, it was called Cirque Radiators Park Royal, I think it was. And this was in a little place called East Place in West Norwood. It was like, the place was old then, and it's all still there. The little factory, I mean, it was a little factory, the size of a house. That's still there, but all boarded up. I went there about 7 or 8 years ago. I couldn't believe it was still there. I'd found it on Google Maps on the satellite park, so I knew it was on the satellite park. So I knew it was there. Anyway, I started off at 15 as, like they call him, a tea boy. You make the tea, and for the lads. What else did you do? It consisted of repairing the radiators, bumper bar section. There was only 2 or 3 in there, and number plates. Well, the fellow in charge there was Greek, called Nicholas Alexander. We all called him Nicky. And he used to make the tea as well. He used to go to the road himself to get the tea. I mean, he was around 34. And I used to make the tea, show me how to do it. I hadn't done all that, not at home. It's just I'm keeping an eye on the time so I can see if this works this time. Apart from that, you getting the stuff of the boys and that up the road, lunch and that. They give you a list and a bag, and you went up and got the sandwiches, and maybe tied you if you came back the wrong sandwich or the wrong change that they, oh boy. Now that went on quite a while. In between that, you was learning about car radiators. My job was to test them when the boys had finished repairing them, to search for any leaks. And if there was any leaks, I used to take them back, or they'd come and get them, and they'd fix it again, and I'd put it on test again. Water pressure to see how much water, any leaks would come out using the water as pressure. But I don't know, I didn't get on with that so well. And about 8 months later, a kid I'd been to school with called Johnny Regan, he came there as a T-boy because I moved up one. I was no longer a T-boy, but I went to work in the number plate department. It was less money, but I was living with mum and dad. I wasn't that bothered at that age. By then I was about 16 going on 17, I suppose. I was only there 4 years. And even now I dream I'm back there, you know, and I'm saying, oh, I've dreamt about this, being here so many times. It's funny. I'm as I am now, but not disabled in the dream. And they are like they are when I knew them 19, 20 and 21. Well, I'd left school to meet over blokes. There was only, blimey, 10 in the whole one, including the manager, foreman and charge hand. You had Brian Wright, he was Peter Wright's son, and Winkle Granger. They did the bumper bars. There's a Nicky and an Irish fella called Jim. He was leaving, and I went and took over his job. That and on the boys doing the radios with Perry, you had Michael Perry, Tony Hamilton, Peter Hurst, whose nickname was Nosher. You had John Hitch, who was the foreman. Ronnie, not Ronnie Corbett, I was going to say. Ronnie Rampling, he was on the bench. You called it on the bench. You had your own bench and repaired stuff. There was no night work, so nobody else took over your, what's her name? It was only 8-hour job. You know, 8 hours a day. 4 hours if you wanted it on a Saturday morning for overtime. It was that, and Bill Battelle, he wasn't a Indian as far as I know. It was Battelle with a B, not a P. He was the foreman. There was Donald Smith, who was the manager. Who else? You had 3 girls. One was called Rita, one was called Pauline, and of a life, I nearly had her name then. She was the eldest. They was all, well, young. I mean, they was all older than me. I mean, the one I can't remember her name was 29. I thought that was very old then, but, you know, to me it's just a kid now. I can't think of her name. Her husband used to come there and all, like pick her up, and used to let him usually outside the house to do his car on a Saturday morning. So anyway, I eventually went into the number plate department, which consisted of 2 presses. You pressed out the number plates from blanks out of these presses, the small press for the motorbike and a very big press. It was more like weightlifting. A very big press for pressing out the car radiators. And you had different thicknesses. You had 18 gauge blanks, 16, 11. I'm trying to think now. And you had high grade. The high grade was more expensive, obviously, than the others. And you pressed them out. Well, I'm going to call it quits at the moment. I don't want to go over it again. Let's see if it's going to do it, publish it this time. I'll tell you about the number plates, how it works, and carry on from there next time. So, Richard, I ain't made too much of a muck up of this. I haven't done it before. And I just hope it will upload this time. So, there we go. Catch you again later. So there's nobody in the house. I can only do it when my daughter's out and my wife's out, because it's always busy here. There's always blooming noise, telly, daughter on her computer and mobile, talking to friends. Right, I'll catch you again. Bye for now.